Time once more, for we need a wonderful tour on a mission with your host, we need a wonderful.
So, yes, today I'm gonna talk about cover art or cover illustration. There is a lot of stuff that could be considered art, cover art, but I'm focusing, of course, on fantasy stuff because you could have like covers of CDs of different types of books like self-help, religion, esoterics, cookbooks, and there are some different things that will sell that. But for fantasy, for retro video games, for comic books, and heavy metal CDs also. Even though I'm not a connoisseur of heavy metal and heavy metal cover art. So yeah, I talked about the Julie Bell illustration for Demon's Crest. She is a painter that learned how to paint, I think, with her husband, Boris Vallejo. And he is an artist born in Peru, but moved to the United States, where then he began his career as an artist. And he did mostly oil paintings, I think exclusively oil paintings, especially in the 70s and up. He might have done some gouache in the 60s, but it's so early work that I think he dropped in favor of oil. And so maybe some pen and ink stuff too. But anyway, he did not only fantasy, but stuff like the cover for the book 8 Candles Glowing. And if you look it up online, you'll see that that illustration is more in the vein of thrillers. He has a couple of those too. The Tarzan ones that he did. And he also did for video games in the 90s. I think he did a Golden Axe 3 cover that went unused. And I really want to talk about Golden Axe in the future because it's a game that was very influential to me. Not the third one, but the first one in the franchise in general. And also the covers for Echo the Dolphin. I don't know if you've ever played that. I never played it myself when I was a kid. I don't remember if I played it, but I'm well aware of it. So anyway, he is the kind of painter that did the type of fantasy illustration that I want to talk about. Of course, you can also look at the oil paintings for advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Guys like Larry Elmore and Jeff Easley and so many others that are great. You can look at that type of illustration and you can get a sense of what is the secret sauce to make a fantastic cover illustration, because some of the paintings of Boris Vallejo and many others is something that any artist is liable to do. There are, I want to say, 3 different levels of what makes a fantasy cover cool. You have on level 1, like the basic stuff is just an action, not even an action, it's just like a pose, an heroic or stoic or whatever you want to call. It's just the character is standing in a cool pose with maybe some nice scenery, maybe some monsters posing with almost as if the monster is a pet. Like in the very cover of The Fantastic Art of Boris Vallejo, the painting is a woman with two pet giant lizards. So that showcases the artist's ability. It is nice, but I'm gonna say that is level 1. That may work better depending on the context of the book, but like if it is an art book, it's alright. Or if it is about that one character, the introduction of him or her, it should be fine. But that is level 1. Level 2, I would say, is an action scene. Is a guy fighting a monster or a witch using a spell or something like that. Is an action that is dynamic. It has a good composition, but it's still sometimes pretty flat in terms of storytelling. It's almost like a splash page in a comic book that has been taken out of context. It can work nice, but we can do better. And then we have level 3, which I think that if you're doing a cover of something, is what you should be striving for. It is what I strive for when I do something that I know it's going to be a cover. And it can be an action scene, but it can be more of a passive activity. But it has to have a storytelling device in it, in the sense that it invites the viewer to think about what they're seeing in a way that engages them to take part or to solve some type of mystery. It really is speaking through image. But enough talking about it. I'll keep on talking about it, but let me use some examples to make it clearer. So there is a cover for the monthly adventure role-playing aid Dragon, which was like the Dragon magazine, the issue 126 by Daniel R. Horn in 87. And that, if you look him up, this artist, Daniel R. Horn, you're probably gonna find this painting of a giant skeleton warrior holding an axe, and he has like a sword in his armor. He has arrows through his armor, and he's still menacingly attacking. The other character is a woman archer, and she is preparing to use an arrow, to shoot an arrow, but you can see in her face that there is a little bit of facial expression, that she is a little bit worried because the clues are there, the cues are there. The giant has weapons on him and he's not dying, he's not wounded. Like there's a sword stuck into him, 3 arrows stuck into him, and one in his head, and he's not slowing down. And so she's apprehensive, maybe, like she's still maintaining her cool. So this one, I want to say, is level 3. It goes a little bit beyond just being an action scene to tell a story. You can read more into it. There is another one by Elmore on the Dragon magazine. That is issue 140, and it's a classic one. There is a man who's clearly dead, and beside him there is a woman, and she is mourning him. She is trying to heal him, maybe. There's like some energy coming off her hand. There is to the right giant footsteps, and then in the background you see a giant looking back at them and walking away almost respectfully, I think. So you don't know what's going on, but you want to find out. There is storytelling, like there is a whole story being told with just this one image. Also, just as a side note, because I don't know when I'm going to talk about this Larry Elmore cover again, the giant in the background is very reminiscent of El Gigante of Francisco de Goya. I know I could probably find a way to talk about Francisco de Goya in every transmission. But yeah, take a look. El Gigante, the giant from Francisco de Goya, and the giant from Larry Elmore, the Dragon magazine. This is a bit unrelated, but I couldn't miss the opportunity. I don't know if it was intentional. I don't have like information on Larry Elmore. Maybe in one of those art books and stuff he talks about that influence or that reference that he might have done, because the pose is not a ripoff, it's not a swipe, but it's very much inspired by Goya, I would bet. There is another one by Daniel R. Horn from issue 156 of the Dragon magazine, and it's a husky, chubby guy with a Valentine's heart in his equipment, and he's kneeling down and professing his love with his body expression and maybe reciting some poetry, holding flowers, and there is a beholder. So if you guys don't know what a beholder is, like a giant ball with one eye, but this one has like lipstick on and it's supposed to be like a girl beholder, and the tagline is "the beauty is in the eye of, oh, skip it." So, you know, one way to do level 3, to do like one image storytelling, is of course to do a gag. A lot of humor, a lot of the old New Yorkers, cartoonists from the magazine New Yorker, they would accomplish that by, you know, telling a joke in one image. If you can somehow incorporate that into your fantasy element, you know, it could be about sadness, it could be about horror, thriller. There are some very good examples in horror I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about so many other examples. I'm probably going to leave that for next episode. So that is it for today. If you would like, please visit vinnythewonderful.blogspot.com. That is my main blog where I post my artwork, my drawings, and I talk about everything related to me. You can also send me an email at heyvinny@hotmail.com, HEYVINY@hotmail.com. I don't have a professional domain.com, so that is it. Let me see. Yeah, that is all for today. I'm going to talk about some more covers on next episode. Thank you so much for listening in, boys and girls, guys and gals, and goodbye.